Reg joins us now on loan from Turner Sports. Good morning, Reg.
Good morning, Theodore. How are you and my Danette?
How you feeling?
I feel good. I played 12. We had the first 4 in Dayton, and then rolled over to Iowa and played 4. So I'm hanging in there, my friend.
How is it when you have 2 games in one day? So you have those back-to-back games.
Those aren't the problem. It's the 4 games in one day that wears you out. The Thursday, that's the most difficult day of the year, personally, for myself, because you're preparing for 8 teams, 4 games, and there's so many players, and it's not like you've watched all these teams all year long, so it's almost like you're taking a quiz test, but you rely on your notes, your reading, your prep, and you get a chance to watch the practices and talk to the coaches and the players. And then at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, and you're talking about X's and O's and strategy, and I'm with a great crew. Dan Bonner's been doing this for 34 years, college basketball, so I lean on him for a little bit, but we have great chemistry, and Kevin Harlan. Dana Jacobson is award-winning Emmy sideline reporter, so we have a great crew.
Best team you've seen so far?
Best team, I will say this, and again, they were in our section. I think it's going to come down to defense, and you've got to have great guard play. And Cassius Winston for Michigan State and Xavier Simpson, they don't get a lot of pub, even though Cassius Winston was Big Ten Player of the Year. Obviously, and rightfully so, much of the attention has been Duke and Ja Morant, and that I get it, but these 2 players, what they do, you've got to have great guard play at this time of year. They control pace, they control tempo, and both makes big shots. And they understand tournament basketball because both have been deep in the tournament. I wouldn't say they're the best player I've seen, but in terms of team success, what Cassius Winston did in our game, especially when they started to make a run on them, and he went on a 9-0 run personally himself, Cassius Winston has looked fantastic for Michigan State.
You ever been yelled at like Izzo did to his freshman?
Yes. And you take it, you understand that it's coming from love. Larry Brown he's from that tree, and it's called coaching people. I didn't have a problem with it, and apparently if you read some of the comments, from former players, that's what Coach Izzo is. I know people don't like it, but what about Rick Barnes shoving his player out of the way? I mean, that's what these coaches do. I get it. People think there's other ways of coaching too. Some coaches aren't as demonstrative on the sidelines, but Coach Izzo is. He's not going to let things slip through the cracks, and he's looking at the bigger picture. And if Aaron Henry is missing defensive assignments, which he was, he's looking at the big picture. If we continue to move on in this tournament, we cannot have this slippage, and he's not going to let the freshmen off the hook. You've got to always look at the bigger picture when you're these coaches.
If Duke had not won yesterday, what would we be talking about?
Been in Washington. Well, first of all, let me just say this. Zion Williamson, no question, the number 1 pick. We've talked about that. But he did not want any he didn't want any business of that free throw on that and one. Yeah. I just saw it in his eyes. He didn't want any part of that free throw. And I will also say this. Taco will be a NBA player because of his size. He has great hands.
Will be?
I think he will be.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's going to be Joel Embiid, but he'll definitely play well on a team.
Really?
Because of his size. Oh, I think he will.
Okay.
I really do. For him to play that late in the game, because I just thought R.J. Barrett and Zion was just going to attack him, which they did at times, but he held his own. And if he had not fouled out, they do not get that offensive rebound at the end, and they end up winning that ball game. To me, UCF, they blew that game. That was theirs to win.
Yep.
And young players don't know time and score. If you remember, they had that 2-on-1 break, and they did an alley-oop when they were up 2. I probably would have pulled it out and ran timeout. There was like under a minute left. You got to know time and score. The 2 points weren't as important. I know you had a 2-on-1, but the guy missed the alley-oop, and they came back down and scored and tied the ball game up. You got to know time and score, and a lot of young college players, they forget about that.
Zion is the first player to score at least 55 points and shoot at least 60% from the floor through the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament. Since 1987, Billy Donovan and you.
Are you serious?
Yeah. This just in, Reggie Miller was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I was shooting threes. I wasn't shooting layups like Zion. I wasn't doing ducks and putbacks. I was lacing threes.
Okay, so was Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan wasn't shooting layups.
That is true. Well, that's an amazing stat. I had no idea. Thank you for enlightening me.
So you feel a little better. Feel a little better today, don't you?
I feel a little better about my UCLA career. I don't feel good about losing to Finis Dembo in Wyoming.
Oh, man.
Getting done.
Did you know anything about Finis Dembo when you?
Absolutely nothing. I barely knew where Wyoming was. Okay? And they did us in. And you're welcome, Finis Dembo, because I got you paid and drafted by the Detroit Pistons, so you're welcome. You're welcome.
There's always, one or two of these guys every tournament. Not that Ja Morant, needed a coming out party, but Harold Arsenault, like Bryce Drew. There's always they're just Ali Farouk Manesh, I think was his name at Northern Iowa. Like you just have these guys, and you go, I don't know if they'll ever play again, but we don't have that guy in this tournament, do we?
We did a player off of Fairleigh Dickinson in the first 4 by the name of Dylan Windler, a 6'8" kid. I believe he's actually from Indiana.
That dude could shoot.
But he was awful in our game, right? He was terrible in our game, and they found a way to win.
Yeah.
Darnell Edge was the star. But his next game versus, I believe it was Maryland, he went for 35.
I know. He was bombing.
Remember that name?
Yeah.
Remember that name because he will be in the NBA. Dylan Windler.
Wait, you got a lot of guys going to the NBA here, Reg. I got Taco Falls.
Taco will be in the NBA. I mean, how can you pass up 7-6?
Taco Fall. I make it seem like it's. Oh, where are you going? I'm going to Taco Falls. Oh, it's really pretty.
Falls.
It's like it's a state park. Oh, you got to go to Zion. You got to go to Taco Falls. All these great places. Yeah. So
I just think because of his size, number one, great hands, and he will learn. His agility is not quite there because at times he was very passive, especially when they were attacking him, but he'll learn that. That's something that can be learned. I just think he's going to be a serviceable NBA player. He won't be great, but he'll be serviceable. Look, if Boban, who I love, okay, if Boban can make it, Taco can make it, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, James Harden went for 61 on Friday.
Yeesh. Do we give him the MVP? If they finish number 3, and
all the injuries,
and what he has done, is he the MVP, or are we still on Giannis?
I would give it to Harden.
Best record.
I would give it to Harden.
I couldn't fault you, and I wouldn't be upset if he won it. But it's something about Giannis and Milwaukee, a small market.
Great
story.
No one
expected Coach Budenholzer. They weren't expected to, contend in the East. Now they have the best record in the NBA.
Yeah.
I can't fault either one. This may be the closest MVP race that we've ever had.
But we don't even blink anymore when Harden goes for 50.
I know.
It's
when I saw the highlights, and then he went on like a 13-0 run to end the game. Right, they were down like big within the last 2 minutes. He went on a 13-0 run and pretty much like sealed the game with 4 threes. It was like ridiculous.
If anybody's going to go after Kobe's 81, it'll be Harden. I know Devin Booker got 70, but that was sort of a playground game. And Clay doesn't create enough shots on his own. Harden's got the ball, doesn't need your help, gets to the line, great three-point shooter, and he's got volume. He's got the green light to shoot as many as he wants. And if he's putting up 20 to 25 three-pointers one night, and he's going to make like 18 one of these days, and then all of a sudden you add some free throws and presto changeo, he's going to be knocking on the door, I feel.
I agree. Harden can go for Kobe. I still believe Curry can do that too, just for the simple fact of everything you mentioned. The only thing that Curry will not do as much as Harden is get to the free throw line. But in terms of, he can make 10 to 15 threes a game. Let's say he goes to the line, 7 to 12 times. I mean, I could see it, but certainly I would put Harden in that 80-point discussion at some point.
Yeah. What do you have? You got Gonzaga and Texas Tech, Florida State.
I got Gonzaga and Florida State. It's a rematch. Actually, it's almost a rematch of last year's regional when Gonzaga went against Florida State. Florida State won. And Michigan, though I believe they went against Texas A&M last year. This time it's Texas Tech. So we got a great regional out here. Gonzaga they were number one last year, got knocked off. They look great thus far in this tournament. Michigan, their defense, to me, they've got the best defense left in the tournament. And a team that went deep, went to the Final Four last year, so they have experience. They're well coached with Coach Beeline. So we have a great matchup in Anaheim.
Yeah, I think first team to 62 in the Michigan-Texas Tech game will win. And I really like Florida State a lot. I think that
long.
I know long. I know they're a good team, man. But I want a Cinderella story. We don't have a Cinderella story this year.
Yeah, but see, you and I, we like Cinderellas, but I guarantee you the bosses at CBS.
No. But you can sell. Reg, you can sell Cinderella until the Elite Eight.
You know what they want? They want what you had last night in that UCF Duke game.
Yeah.
They want UCF to take them all the way to the end and then lose. Keep eyeballs on the television, but they want their bigger teams to move on. It would be great to have a Liberty, a Wofford, a UCF in the Final Four. Last year we had Loyola of Chicago. It'd be great, but it doesn't bring – I mean, it's a good story, but they're thinking about cha-ching. God forbid, right? They sell the Cinderella story, but do they really want the Cinderella story?
Now you were in you were in San Antonio with us last year, but you're not going to be in Minneapolis with us this year?
I am not. No, I will not. Are you guys going to be there?
Yeah.
Didn't we have a shootout with what was my man's name? Gio? Remember the kid? He could not. I was like, you on scholarship?
You were so. I knew that when he challenged you. I think he was a guard at Texas San Antonio, and he had a game winner earlier this year, as some people pointed out. And I just remember when he started tugging on Superman's cape, and I went, "Oh, don't do this!" Because as soon as you hit your first three, and then you started talking, and then he was done. He was, and then we brought out Patrick Ewing. We were going one-on-one with Patrick Ewing there.
Oh, that was good. So, unfortunately, I will not be in Minneapolis.
Bummer.
The show must go on without me. I know. Bummer. I will miss you. I will miss you guys. I know.
All right, so Thursday night we'll be watching, and safe travels. Good to catch up with you again, Reg.
I appreciate it, Theodore Daness. I love y'all. Love y'all.
That's Reggie Aloysius Miller. He'll be on the call with Kevin Harlan, Dana Jacobson, Dan Bonner.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.